Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today it's another trying to fix video, another video where I've bought something faulty off eBay and I do my best to fix it. So in this particular video we're going to be trying to fix this Sony Walkman FX43. You can just see the model number up there if you look very closely. So I bought these as part of a job lot. They work out to be £5.37p each, so I didn't pay too much money for it. This particular one, couldn't find much information about it online at all. I think it's from 1990. If you were to ask me, I would have said it was later, but that's what it said on the internet. Whether it's right or not, I do not know. Now, if I had this, let's say in 1990 or 1991, when I used to do my paper round, I would have absolutely loved this because look at it, how nice does that look? Back then, the more lights and buttons something had, normally the better it was, and this has plenty of buttons to keep you busy. So basically we have a little digital display there, you've got a radio built into it, AM and FM, you've got plenty of presets on it. You've even got an alarm as well, which I thought was a very strange thing. I tested this earlier on, and yes, the alarm works, but obviously the alarm only works through the headphones, so it's going to be no good for waking you up in the morning unless you sleep with your headphones in. So I'm thinking maybe it's if you go for a run and you want to time yourself, for example after 45 minutes to set the alarm off, then it will start beeping at you. But this one's got absolutely loads of things on it. It's got Dolby sound, it's got you've got your mega bass there, you've got your direction there so you can flip the other side of the tape by just hitting that one there. It's also got the auto reverse thingy where it gets to the end of the tape and then it starts playing the other side without you having to open it up and turn it. So it looks like it's quite a clever Walkman, this one. Now I've been messing around with this and the radio works absolutely fine. In fact, I'll show you that now. Let's turn this on here, plug that into there. So if we go to radio,
enjoy the day today.
There you go. So you can hear that that's working. Obviously it depends on the reception, but when it comes to the tape it doesn't work. Now, to begin with, when I was pressing play, nothing was happening, and that's because it's still on the radio. You have to actually put it to tape and then press play. But if you have a look, it doesn't matter what I press, whether I play, rewind, or fast forward, it still just comes up with the same thing there, and nothing's actually spinning on here. So when I press play, there's nothing, these things here are not spinning. Yeah, but I can hear the motor going. Now, interestingly enough, when I first of all put batteries in this for the first maybe 15 or 20 minutes, every time I press play it didn't do anything. Now I'm starting to doubt myself and think, well, was it just in tape? Sorry, just in the radio side of things, but I'm sure I was messing around with things and nothing was happening because I remember opening it up and I couldn't hear anything. But then I started putting the tape in and I started spinning this, and then bit by bit I then did start to hear the motor turning. But now I'm doubting myself, thinking that it must have been on radio, because when it is on radio, if there's nothing plugged into it and you press play, you do think that the tape's broken because it's not working and it's not coming up here with play or anything like that. So maybe that's what I was doing. So what we need to do is we need to take this apart. It might be as simple as just replacing the belts. I really don't know. But we'll take it apart and we'll have a look and we'll see what's happening with it. Now to take it apart, I'm just going to be using these little plastics. They look like plectrums for a guitar. I got them as part of an iPhone screen repair kit. But you can just Google eBay or Amazon screen repair kit or mobile phone repair, and you will see that you will get kits with stuff like this in. So if you have a look around closely, you will see that there's they actually help you out. There's kind of little arrows where there's little tabs, so they just kind of tell you that there's one here, that there's one here, there is one over here as well. And sometimes when you look around the edges, it also gives you a little arrow. So there's a little arrow here, so that means that there's a tab down here as well. So I'm going to start here, back at the battery thing here, because that's the easiest place to get to. So I can't see any screws. Let's just take this off here. Yeah, I can't see any screws, so it looks like it all just clips together. So if you like these Walkman videos, check out my other 5. and I've got another 2 to do after this, but one of them's not a Walkman, it's like, well, it's a Walkman, but it's like a, I think it's more like a dictaphone, so where you record and you can play things back. I would say that this would have been quite expensive when it was released. It looks like a good quality one. Okay, so that's mostly loosened at the back now, so I'm just going to use this little tool and just poke in here, and hopefully that will release the back, which it has done. There we go. Right, so the belt is here. So the belt has come off. Still got a bit of elastic to it, but maybe it would be best to change that over. So maybe originally this was trapped around a motor and was stopping it from turning, and with me kind of wiggling around the place, maybe it loosened itself up and then started to work. So I suppose really I should change the belt. I just want to see which way round it goes. It's a bit weird how it's come off. Yeah, I reckon it goes round that way and it's become loose. Let's try and put it this way and see. Yeah, it's still loose either way, so it's definitely too loose. So let's put the belt on and let's see if it's going to do anything. And if it is, then we can just give it all a big clean up. Just looking at the capacitors. None of them seem to be bulging. The contacts here actually look okay. This one looks a little bit slightly corroded at the very, very end, but that will just need a tiny little scrape. There's hardly anything there at all. Yeah, let's get some belts. Right, I think that fits okay. Let's pop a tape in and see what it sounds like.
I know I'm on my own over this one. As far as everyone else is concerned, Jethro is indispensable.
Well, that's interesting. I did direction there and it's not going the other way. I think it's just playing it backwards. Right, let's flip the tape over. Now, why would the direction thing not work?
And alongside them, there were relationship to him was a Westerman. The relationship to him was a Westerman. Him was a Westerman. And alongside the Napa. And of course their relationship to him was a Westerman.
Well, that's interesting. These are definitely flipping the other way, but yet all it's doing is playing the tape backwards. It's not playing the other side. Why would that be? I don't really know how auto reverse works. Yeah, it's just running the tape the other way, isn't it? So maybe on a tape, would there be... Because when you flip it the other side, all that happens is the reels just spin the tape the other way. So maybe when it comes to this actual tape here, maybe half of it's done with one. Maybe, for example, this side near my finger might be done with one, you know, side A or side B, for example. Then the other half of the tape would be the other side. I'm not too sure how the actual sort of data is put onto the tape. I've never really thought about that before. Sort of years ago I would have thought it was the other side of the tape, but it's not, is it? Because the tape head is always reading this side no matter what. So it looks like this auto reverse thing is not working.
Alongside them, there were, in Caesarea itself, settlements of Latin freemen. And you had what? Then there were, in Caesarea.
How would I fix that? How would I fix the fact that it's not playing the other side? I mean, it is when I take it out, so it's not the end of the world. All you have to do is take the tape out, but it's not doing what it's supposed to do.
So, within the lordship, and in the various relations...
Ah, now look, it's not doing it now.
Below and above him, there were two different systems in operation. The old...
Oh, it doesn't like it now.
And an imported one. The lord and his knights lived in the town.
Right, that's interesting. So now it's not doing that anymore.
Skiving.
Not exactly, but
You know it.
It's doing it now.
yeah.
Can you hold the other end of this rope? Got to get it on.
Wow, really interesting. Okay, that might be one for Google. Let me try a looser belt, just in case it's something to do with the tightness of the belt. This one's really, really loose. I just want to see if it makes a difference.
You've become a fanatic for neatly coiled ropes. Well, you lift your hand up so I can...
That sounds German. So,
You've become a fanatic for neatly coiled ropes.
so it's not to do with the tightness of the belt.
Why are you so bothered about what Jethro thinks?
Well, because wouldn't you know,
What Jethro thinks?
I wouldn't say it's the tape. It can't be anything to do with the tape, can it? Let me pop this one in. I've got to be careful with this one because I'll get done for copyright. No, it's backward again. Maybe that was the original fault with this, the fact that it's the auto reverse went on it, and then throughout the years the belt just expanded and fell off. Definitely not correct. I'm certain about that. Now, it's not that bad because all it means is that you have to take the tape out and play it the other way. So it's not really a massive hardship. I would like to try to get it to work if I can. So I think what I'm going to do to begin with is I'm going to grease everything up. I'm going to put away these belts. I'm going to stick with the one that I've got here. I'm going to grease it all up and see if that makes a difference, because it might be the fact that something's not greased properly, it's not flipping into place, but I'm thinking because of the one I did, the Walkman number 5, I know that there's a chip and that chip is responsible for the auto reverse, so I'm wondering if there's a problem with that chip. But let's put some grease in it first of all and also clean the tape head. Let's do the obvious stuff to begin with and see if that helps anything at all. So I'm just using some IPA cleaner on the tape head here, and also the little pinch rollers. See these little rollers here? Make sure that there's no kind of grime or dirt on them. Okay, so that's them clean. Now I'm going to get some grease and grease up everything in here. But I'm going to keep it away from the actual belt itself. So this is the grease that I'm going to be using. I'm just going to try it again, see if it's made any difference.
Bothered about what Jethro thinks.
Well, give me the hand up first. Outside, there's head off, we'll have to marry to get up. There's 7 never I going. Early. Nearly one word.
Oh, one half this week. Is he good?
Never had now this week. Very long time.
Yeah, fuck, let's get Mum here, we know. Anyway, Mum makes excellent coffee.
Nope, still playing backwards.
And an imported Western one.
The Lord and his knights lived in the when they went down in the Lord.
How they taught me that. Systems in operation. The old Muslims employ even the old Muslims employ even.
Okay, so probably about half an hour's passed now, and I really can't see anything wrong with this. It doesn't matter what I do. I've been putting pressure in different places, so I've put the back cover on. I've been pressing down to see if anything happens, you know, in case it's like a bad connection or something's worn. And I can't find anything wrong with it whatsoever. It keeps playing backward no matter what I do.
Of the mosque. In this area, isn't it?
The other strange thing is, no matter what I do, it always comes up with fast forward on this front bit here. So if you have a look now, we've got the time, and then when we press play, it just comes up with fast forward. The reason it's not going in properly is because it's not seated right.
All this is gone now except...
But yeah, if I hold down number 6, this is weird, but if I hold down number 6, it does come up with play. But it still says fast forward next to it. Slow that down. And then when I do this direction, it still just plays backwards. So obviously it should say play normally, but it doesn't. All it does is comes up with fast forward. It's only when we press one of the buttons. In fact, it's only when we press the first or second button. Weird. Yeah, really strange. Unless, I wonder, would it be worth me taking apart this front bit just to see? I mean, that's a bit weird how when we press the buttons there, it's a bit weird how when we press, I mean, I would say it's nothing at all to do with that, because even when we have this board out of it here, it still happens. I'm just a bit confused that when we press that button, it does come up with the correct thing. So why is this reading this wrong? Okay, this is getting interesting now. I've been looking on Google. Again, there's not a huge amount of information out there because of the age of this stuff, but I now know how a tape works. So I never really put any thought into it before, but basically you see this band here, it's only going to be playing on the side that's showing. And let's just widen this up a little bit. So pretend that this is the band here. What will happen is you will have side A and side B. So side A and side B, okay? And then on each of the sides, you will basically have 2 tracks. And that will be for left audio and right audio. And then you will have the same on the other side. So let's just colour them in a bit. So what happens is, it's amazing because when I was younger I had tapes, but I never actually understood them. So now, sorry, let's do left and right. Now these are going to be in the, possibly in the wrong position, I'm just guessing the position of them. But basically this is the one tape here that you see. Yeah, just made bigger. So what happens is, for example, the bottom half will be side A or side B, I don't know. And then on this bottom half, you will have left and right, so it's stereo sound. Otherwise, it would just be mono. So it's got 2 tracks on it. And then on this side here, the top side, let's call it, there will also be 2 lines running across it to pick up the left and right audio. So when you pretend now this is the tape head, it's going to be touching it. And when you put it in this side, pretend now that it's reading the bottom half. So let's just say that there's 2 lines on the bottom of my finger here. Yeah, this will be for left audio and right audio, and it's going to be touching the bottom half of the tape, not the top half. Yeah, and then it's going to be playing absolutely fine, working in, for example, this direction. Then when you want to play side B or whatever the opposite side, you're going to flip it over. And now look, you're now reading the other side of the tracks. So it's as simple as that. So if you look at a Walkman that hasn't got auto reverse, look at that chrome metal head here. Can you see there's only 1 square in the middle, and you can just barely see kind of 2 shiny lines in it. So the whole thing's shiny, but then you can see like a black rectangle, and in that there's 2 lines. So this here is only going to be able to play 1 side, not 2 sides, because there's only 2 contacts to be able to play 1 side of the tape. Now this is interesting, you'll see it much clearer here. Whoa, much clearer here. Have a look at this one here. You can see there is 4 contacts. So if you look closely, can you see here? So we've got black, 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 black. So this is going to be reading in 1 direction. So for example, side A, left and right. And then this would be reading side B, left and right. So what's happening here is that this tape cassette is only reading on 1 side. So what's happening is, for example, it's reading side A, pretend, I don't know whether it's reading the top or the bottom, just let's pretend it's the one where the pen's pointing to. So the tape's running across this top bit here, and it's reading this bit. And then what's happening is, when you're pressing that auto reverse button, it should then flip to this one here to read the opposite side of the tape, but it's not. It's still reading this side. So the mechanism is working okay. It's flipping, it's making the tape go the other way, but it's still reading on the wrong tape head. So basically, it's always reading on either the top or the bottom. I don't know which one. And that's the problem. It needs to work on one, and then as soon as you hit the auto reverse, it needs to liven up the other one, and it's not doing that. And I don't know why it's not doing that. So that's what I need to play around with now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to concentrate more on the actual tape head itself. So as you can see, I've undone it here because this ribbon cable was slightly curled up. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the tape in, and I'm just going to basically be pressing it down here to see whether it's a case of having a bad contact. And then once well, I'll do it sort of live now on video, but then what I'm going to have to do is just kind of experiment with it. So I'm just trying to touch this ribbon cable against it to see what it sounds like. Right, so apart from sounding like something like devil worshippers would like, I'm not getting anywhere with it. But I'm wondering whether the tape head is faulty, or it could be something feeding the tape head. Now I have got another Walkman from the video number 5, which is also auto reverse. I wonder whether they would share the same tape head or not. Not sure. I might have another look at that. So basically, you see what I'm going to be doing here. I'm just going to be playing around with it to see if I can work out what's going on. Now, I know some of you are going to say, look out for a switch. Well, if you watch this now, so when I do this thing here, you can see that it's moving like the pinch rollers from one side to the other, so it's dragging the tape round in the other orientation. Yeah, and also you've seen earlier that it spins. But it's not just that. If you have a look at this, there's a little white switch here. Yeah, and when I move this here, watch the white switch. I don't know. Oh, actually, sorry, I need to press play. So when I press play, you see that there's a switch here and also a switch here. And I've tested both of them for continuity, and I have got a continuity. And now watch this. You see this little white switch here where my finger's pointing to? Yeah, can you see that it's moving that one together? And it is working. So basically, let me show you. When I put my multimeter onto continuity and go across these bits here, you can hear now that there's nothing happening, but when I do the switch, there. So there's continuity there, and now, right, so I'm on both parts of the switch, and now it stops. So that says to me that that's working, and also these other ones are working as well. There you go. That's that one there, and also there's one here. Stop. Start. So all the switches appear to be working okay. So really it could be the fact that the tape head is not reading properly, but the fact that it's not switching says to me it's not the tape head, because I don't think there's any moving parts as such in this tape head. So the fact it's not switching, I think that the Walkman's not telling this to switch. So even if I swap this over, I think what's happening is it's the Walkman that's failing to tell this to read the other side of the track. That's what I believe is happening. So when I have more information, I will get back to the video. Okay, so I've got it on continuity, and I'm just tracing it from this auto reverse switch down here, and it goes up to a little resistor here, and then from there it actually goes onto this switch up here. Let me just press play. So then when you press play, that's joins to the other side, and then from there it goes up to this pin here, and this pin is part of this ribbon cable connector that goes to the front. So I'm wondering whether, now it could be just going up to there just to let the front know to say play, but I wonder whether it has to do something in the front to then come back down to actually switch it on this part here. So I think I need to put more effort into trying to get into the inside of this bit here. So that's what I need to work out now. Right, I managed to do it. I took off the middle clip here out of the back, and I was just sort of trying to prise it, and basically it was just brute force that got it out. It all looks a little bit bent up here. This one looks slightly cracked now, but only ever so slightly. I can put a bit of glue on that. Hopefully I will be able to get it back together again, because obviously this hinge needs to be strong, otherwise the tape's just going to keep coming out. But anyway, at least it's given me access to this now. But if I had to do that again, I don't know how I did it. It was just a case of bending it and it just popped out. But it sort of snapped out. It wasn't a clean, it didn't look like it was supposed to come out that way. Okay, this is good. Now I've got access to here. Alright, so it looks like the radio tuner thing's up here. I didn't think there was going to be so much circuit board up here, if I'm honest with you. Oh, okay. Well, there is corrosion here, I think. If you look at the board there, it doesn't look very nice. And this is just age. Now, I'm not sure if I am going to be able to get access in here, because it all looks to be clipped into position. And it says here FX40 and FX43. This black plastic's not going to come off because it's got these kind of like male bits that go through that are then being flattened, but what I can do is I can just gently lift up each of them and just clean them underneath. I mean, as far as I know, all these buttons are working, but there is, like, I can see a hair there, and there definitely looks like there's a bit of bit of corrosion. So I'm just going to clean it all with IPA. But I don't think this is just a touchpad. That's not going to make any difference, is it? I'm certain that's not going to make any difference, but I'll give it a clean anyway. Right, actually there's a lot of oxidization on those little contacts there. You can see the black coming off from here. Oh, that's something. That's something there now, look. Where it joined the board there, can you see on that ribbon cable, there's corrosion on this side here. This side. Right, okay. So it looks like a bit of corrosion has got in here. That's not going to help it. Pins look okay in that side. I'm going to give this all a clean. Yeah, that last one's definitely damaged all the way up. Look at the ribbon cable. I didn't notice that before. Can you see the outer track? So I'm going to get my multimeter and make sure that it is making a connection. But the problem I've got is, well, maybe if I was just to push it in a bit further, it might go onto a good part of that track there, because this part of the track here is quite bad. There, can you see here? It's gone across there, isn't it? Still making a contact though. Right, let's see if this has made any difference.
Body of men. I reckon they had no time in the 200 knows in the
No difference. Right, let's try and hold down this button, see if it says play. So we're looking closely here. It says play, but it says fast forward. So we're still getting the wrong reading on here. Play fast forward, play fast forward. Let's hit this button. Yeah, and when I do nothing, it just still comes up with that. So when I press play, it should come up with play there. And it's not. Oh, I'm losing out of options here. Well, I'm going to take apart the Walkman from the other day to see if that head is interchangeable with this one. But I don't think so, because I think this one is 7 years earlier than it, so I think it's going to be highly unlikely. But it's worth having a quick look. Right, so I've just popped this one apart, and although it is an auto reverse head, you can see the 2 lots of contacts on there. It hasn't got, well, sorry, 4 lots of contacts obviously, so 2 lots on one side, 2 lots on the other side. It hasn't got the same connection at the end, so if you look at the ribbon cable, you can see that it's different. And I'm not going to get involved with soldering another one onto there, because I personally don't really believe it is a problem with that head anyway. I wonder if there's any way that I could measure resistance on it. Right, okay, so I've gone on both of them. This is mostly reading 0.29 kiloohms, I think it is. Yeah, and this is reading 0.28 kiloohms. So basically all this side here, if I put it to continuity, all this side is basically in contact with each other. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 pins here, and a 5th pin, which I presume is some sort of ground. I'm not sure where that one goes to. Maybe that does something else, I don't know. Oh, there you go, that shorts to these ones, yeah. So basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 contacts altogether, and you know, in contact with each other. And then the other ones are all separate, which I suppose makes sense because it's going to be left and right audio on them all. So these are all the same ones. And then these are all the individual ones here. And if I put it to ohms, and let me zoom out so you can see the meter. If I go between, for example, let's call it the ground and this one here. There you go, there you go, 0.29, next one. 0.2899, so the same. 0.29, and the last one, 0.28. And if we go on to this one, on this one, all this side is the same, and this is the different side. So again, if I was to go there, you get the idea. 0.3, 0.3, 0.29, 0.29. So I think those are testing the same. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go between the points here and the circuit board here to see if we've got continuity. Yeah, they're fine. So there's definitely continuity between the head here and the circuit board here. So it means that I think this head is okay. The ribbon cable looks okay all the way up to here. Really, is there any more I can do? I've got nothing to compare it to. You know I don't like to give up on things, but mechanically it's testing fine. I think the head's okay. And I can't see any damage on the board. I've taken out all the ribbon cables, made sure they're making a good contact. This one here isn't great, but you know what? I can test this one. This was the dodgy one here, so I can test that one now while it's all in situ. So that's going to be. Let me have a look. See which one's that going to be. There you go, so that's going to be the outer one here. And we've got continuity. In fact, we can probably test all of these ones here. There. There you go, so there's all continuity there. So that ribbon cable is okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have a little look around the board, see if I can see anything obvious with like a dodgy capacitor or something. And apart from that, I think I'm just going to have to put it together and basically just have it as a Walkman that doesn't auto-reverse. It's not the end of the world. It's still going to be a nice Walkman that's got a radio on it, that's still got all the Dolby and the Mega Boost and stuff like that. It's just the fact that when you want to play the other side, you're going to have to take it out, which is a shame because it's nice to have something working fully like it's intended, like the intended design. But if one of the chips have gone faulty or something, there's not much I'm going to be able to do about that. So I'm just going to play around with it for a while, then I'll get back to the video. Okay, so it's time to close all this up. I can't find anything wrong with it. Again, it can be revisited. If somebody watching this knows what's wrong with it, if you've had the same problem before, then I can check it out, and then obviously I can do a video on it and I might be able to get it up and running at a later stage. But at this moment in time, if I had to take a guess, I would say again it's one of the chips that deals with the auto reverse that could have possibly failed, and it's not allowing the switching over to the other side of the head. So that's what I think. That's what I think is the problem with it. Right, so I'm just going to do a final check on it just to see if it is working as well as it was earlier. Okay, so the radio's working. Obviously I've got bad reception because I'm inside. Volume's working. And now let's put our tape in.
Imagine if we think ourselves back to the 12th century.
That sounds fine.
They didn't shave.
So I just need to make sure I keep the direction that way all the time, and then it will be fine.
We break this bread to share in the body of...
That's a mess, isn't it? I got this tape in a boombox that I bought. There's all sorts of interesting stuff on it. Right, so let's muck about with the Dolby. Can't tell if that makes a difference or not. So that does make a difference. Really, there's nothing else to check. Rewinds. Fast forwards. Yeah, that sounds fine. Let's put a bit of Elvis in. See, some people would say that that is a bonus because when I was growing up, everybody was always saying if you play this backward and if you play that backwards, it says that you love the devil or that this, that and the other. So basically now this would be a way of proving that nice and easily, wouldn't it? You could pop it in here, hit the direction, and then you could listen to your albums backwards to see if there's any hidden messages in it. So this could actually be seen as a plus, you never know. This now might be worth twice the price that it was before, purely because of that feature. So this one here, slightly annoying if I'm honest with you, because I do really like this one and it was a shame that it's not working like it's intended to work. So obviously it's much better than it was when I started because I put a belt in it and now it is working. So we've got the radio working and also we have the tape working as well. So it is good. It's just that that direction thing isn't really a big deal. I'm just being a bit OCD about it. When something's on a device, I want it to work, otherwise it feels like it's faulty, because it is faulty. While most people probably couldn't care less whether that works or not, because it's not exactly a hardship after listening to something for 90 minutes to take it out and turn it around and put it the other way. It's just that for the sake of the video, it's a bit of a failure, isn't it? Because I couldn't find what was wrong with it. So if you know what's wrong with it, please put it down in the comments and then I will revisit this. But at this moment in time, yes, this would be worth more than £5.37, but it's still a faulty device. So yeah, slightly disappointed with that one, but we still have 2 more of them to fix, so we'll have to see what happens on them. So still, if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe for more trying to fix videos. Take care, bye now.